Everyone assumes that the moment you get offered a promotion, you should take it. It's more money, a better title, and it proves you're winning the career game.
But I'm going to argue that for about 60% of you, accepting a promotion is actually the single fastest way to destroy your earning potential and your happiness.
It sounds ridiculous, I know. Why would anyone turn down a raise and a step up the ladder? Because of a little economic trap called the Peter Principle. This isn't just some corporate satire from the 60s. It is a mathematical certainty that explains why your boss is incompetent. And more importantly, how you can avoid becoming him. If you climb blindly, you will eventually reach a level where you fail. Today, we are going to look at why saying no to a promotion might be the most profitable career move you ever make. I've spent years looking at labor economics and corporate structures, and the data is surprisingly clear. Most people are promoted based on the wrong metrics. We treat a career like a video game, where you just keep leveling up until you beat the final boss. But in the real world, leveling up often changes the genre of the game entirely. You go from playing a first-person shooter, where you're the sniper, to playing a resource management sim, where you're just moving spreadsheets around. If you're a great sniper but a terrible accountant, that promotion is a trap. We are going to break down the hard data on this. Look at a massive study of sales teams that proves the point, and then I'm going to give you a specific framework for how to decline a promotion without looking like you've given up.
This is about strategic stagnation. Before we get into the mechanics of why you should stay put, I want to mention that this channel is about looking at money and career decisions.
If you want to stop making decisions because they feel good, and start making decisions that actually increase your long-term utility, you should subscribe. It's the best ROI on your time you'll get today. Now let's talk about Lawrence J. Peter and why he thought your manager was useless.
Back in 1969, a guy named Lawrence Peter wrote a book that was supposed to be a satire of corporate bureaucracy.
But it ended up becoming a foundational text in management theory. The core idea is incredibly simple, but devastating. He argued that in a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence. Here is how that works. You started a job, you are good at it. Because you are good at it, you get promoted. Now you are in a harder job. You work hard, you figure it out, and you become good at that one too. So what happens? You get promoted again. This cycle continues. Competence leads to promotion, until eventually you land in a role that you are not good at. Maybe the skills required are totally different. Maybe the pressure is too high. Whatever the reason, you stop performing well. Here is the kicker. Once you reach that level where you are struggling, what Peter called your final placement, the promotions stop. You don't get promoted again because you aren't doing a great job anymore. But, and this is crucial, you usually don't get fired either. You just sort of hang there. You become a bottleneck. You spend the rest of your career in a role that you are fundamentally bad at, stressed out, and blocking anyone else from moving up. The system is designed to move you out of the jobs you excel at and keep you permanently installed in the one job you can't handle. It's a mechanism that efficiently turns your competence into incompetence. Let's look at the classic example, which happens constantly in tech and engineering. You have a brilliant software engineer. This person writes cleaner code than anyone else. They solve problems in their sleep, and they are an absolute wizard at architecture. Naturally, the company wants to reward them, so they promote them to engineering manager. On paper, this makes sense. A higher rung on the ladder, but the job of an engineering manager isn't writing code. It's managing people. It's resolving conflicts between developers, sitting in budget meetings, playing politics with the product team, and writing performance reviews. These are soft skills. They are about empathy, diplomacy, and administrative tolerance. Our brilliant engineer might have zero aptitude for any of that. Suddenly, the company has lost its best coder and gained a mediocre manager. Everyone loses. You might be thinking, sure, Alex, but I can learn, I'm smart, I'll figure out the management stuff. That's the optimism talking. The data says otherwise. We actually have empirical evidence that shows companies systematically destroy value by promoting their best people. If you think you're the exception, you need to see the numbers from a study of 53,000 workers that proves high performance in one role actually predicts failure in the next. A few years ago, researchers published a paper in the Quarterly Journal of Economics called Promotions and the Peter Principle. They wanted to see if this was real or just anecdotal. They analyzed data from over 200 firms looking specifically at salespeople and their managers.
Sales is a great place to test this because performance is very easy to measure. You either hit your number or you didn't.
The study found a very clear pattern. The single strongest predictor of whether a salesperson got promoted to manager was their sales volume.
If you sold a lot, you became the boss. That seems fair, right? You reward the high performers. But then the researchers looked at what happened to the teams these new managers took over.
Here is where it gets ugly. The data showed that the better a person was at selling, the worse they were at managing. There was actually a negative correlation. The superstar salespeople, when promoted, led teams that performed worse than the teams led by average salespeople. Why? Because selling is a lone wolf activity. It requires aggression, individual focus, and sometimes a bit of selfishness. Managing requires the opposite: collaboration, coaching, and patience. By promoting the top sellers, these companies were taking their highest revenue generators off the street and putting them in a position where they actively damaged the performance of everyone else. It was a double whammy of value destruction. The study even identified what made a good manager. It was the salespeople who had a track of collaborating on complex deals, even if their total individual numbers weren't the highest. But those people rarely got promoted because the system is blinded by the flashy metrics of the current role. This confirms the Peter Principle isn't just an accident, it's a structural flaw in how we think about talent. We assume talent is vertical, that if you are good at level 1, you'll be good at level 2. But talent is often horizontal. Being elite at level 1 says absolutely nothing about your ability to survive at level 2. There is another layer to this, and it comes from a Stanford working paper that treats this as a statistical problem. It's called regression to the mean.
Think about it this way. To get a promotion, you usually need to have a spectacular year. You need to blow your targets out of the water.
Now, performance is a mix of skill and luck. To have a spectacular year, you probably had good skill, but you also probably had a run of good luck. The market was hot, or you landed a whale client. When you get promoted based on that peak year, statistically, your performance in the next period, you regress to the mean. But now, you're in a harder job, so you have the natural drop-off from your lucky streak ending, combined with the increased difficulty of the new role. To your bosses, it looks like you suddenly became incompetent. In reality, the promotion system just selected you at your absolute peak and set you up for a statistical correction.
जिसके बॉनी में तिथई को निकाल निकालते हैं मिस्टल खॉनी के सिंगलु तिका कॉनीमोस Yes, rock.
You just keep climbing rungs. I want you to delete that image. It's dangerous. Instead, I want you to imagine a graph where the y-axis is your competence, how good you actually are, and the x-axis is the job level.
For most of us, that line doesn't go up forever. It creates a specific shape. And if you don't know where the drop-off is, you are going to walk right off a cliff.
Imagine that graph. At level 1, say a junior analyst, your competence starts low but rises quickly as you learn the ropes. At level 2, the senior analyst, you are in your zone. This is your zone of genius. The tasks match your brain wiring perfectly. Your competence line is high and flat. You are killing it. You feel confident. You go home feeling useful.
Then comes level 3, the manager. Suddenly the tasks shift. The line on our graph starts to dip. You aren't doing the analysis anymore.
You're managing the people doing it. You're okay at it, but not great. Then comes level 4, director.
The job is now pure politics and strategy. Your competence line crashes. You are now drowning. The problem is that the corporate ladder only goes up. It forces you to traverse that x-axis from left to right. But your actual skills, the things that make you valuable, are a horizontal line that cuts across the graph. As long as the job stays below that line, you're safe. The moment the job requirements cross above your skill line, you enter the Peter zone.
The tragedy is that we celebrate entering the Peter zone. We throw parties for it. We update our LinkedIn profiles. We are literally celebrating the moment we become bad at our jobs. The rational move, the one that nobody talks about, is to look at that graph. Identify where your curve peaks, and then camp there permanently. This brings us to the risk-reward calculation. Every promotion is a trade. You trade your current comfort and mastery for potential status and money. But you also take on new risks. The risk of burnout, the risk of being fired because you can't deliver, the risk of hating your life because you spend 6 hours a day in meetings. If you plot expected utility, which is basically happiness plus money minus stress, you get a hump-shaped curve. For the first few promotions, the money outweighs the stress. Utility goes up. But there is a tipping point.
For many people, that tipping point is senior individual contributor. Beyond that, the extra 20% in salary comes with a 50%.
That is negative expected value. A rational investor would never take that trade. Yet we take it in our careers every day. So, let's say you've run the numbers. You look at the promotion offer, you look at the tasks, and you realize it's a trap.
It pushes you past your level of competence. How do you decline it without killing your career? You can't just say, "No thanks, I prefer to be lazy."
You have to frame it strategically. The first step is what I call the skills audit. You sit down with your boss and you separate the pay from the role.
Most of us only want the promotion because we want the raise. We don't actually want the job. So the conversation needs to pivot to
You want to push for a senior individual contributor track. This is becoming more common in tech, but you can negotiate it in almost any industry.
I am honored by the offer, but I've looked at where I drive the most ROI for this company, and it's in doing the work, not managing it. I want to double down on being the best specialist you have. Can we look at a path where I take on more complex projects and mentor the juniors with a compensation adjustment, but stay in this role?
You are framing your refusal as a commitment to excellence. You are protecting the company from a bad manager, And if they say no, if they say the only way to get a raise is to become a manager, that is a massive red flag that you are in an organization that doesn't understand value.
Declining a promotion is one of the ultimate power moves because it shows you know exactly what you are worth and what you are good at. It signals confidence. It says, I am not desperate, validate me. People who stay in roles they excel at. The climbers are expendable because they are often operating at the edge of their incompetence.
During layoffs, middle managers get cut. The people who actually build the product or sell the service usually stay.
The Peter Principle is real. The data backs it up. The sales study proves it. The regression to the mean predicts it. If you blindly say yes to every opportunity, you will eventually find yourself in a room you don't understand, doing a job you hate, waiting to get fired.
The smartest person in the room isn't necessarily the CEO or the director. It's the person who climbed to the exact height where they were happiest and most effective,
and then had the discipline to stop climbing. They maximized their utility, not their title. That is how you win the game.
If this perspective shifted your thinking on your career path, do me a favor and hit the like button so the algorithm knows this is useful data.
And I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever seen someone get promoted to their level of incompetence? Or have you ever turned one down? I read the comments to see real-world data points. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
The Peter Principle is a powerful concept that highlights a fundamental flaw in many organizational structures. It's not about individual failure.
Understanding this principle is crucial for navigating your career effectively. Don't chase titles blindly. Your career is a journey, not just a ladder. It's about finding your zone of genius, where your skills align perfectly with your tasks. This is where you are most productive, most satisfied, and ironically most secure. It's about maximizing your utility, not just your salary. To avoid the Peter Principle, conduct a skills audit for yourself. Understand your strengths and where you truly excel. When a promotion is offered, don't just consider the title or the pay raise. Evaluate the new role's tasks and responsibilities. Will they leverage your core competencies, or will they push you into areas where you are less effective? If the new role doesn't align with your strengths, negotiate. Propose a path where you can take on more complex projects.
Mentor junior colleagues and receive a compensation adjustment, all while staying in your zone of genius. This frames your refusal not as a lack of ambition, but as a commitment to maximizing your value to the company. You are protecting the company from the inevitable decline in performance that comes from misplacing talent. and you are securing your own long-term happiness and effectiveness. If your organization doesn't understand this, it's a red flag. It indicates a systemic issue where value is equated solely with upward mobility, rather than deep expertise and contribution.
In such cases, it might be time to consider if that organization truly values your unique talents. Don't be afraid to seek environments that appreciate horizontal growth
and reward you for being the best at what you do, rather than forcing you into roles that diminish your impact and satisfaction. Embrace the power of saying no to a promotion that doesn't serve your long-term utility. It's a strategic move that can redefine your career success. By understanding the Peter Principle and applying a rational, data-driven approach to your career, you can avoid common pitfalls
and build a career path that truly maximizes your happiness, productivity, and long-term value. Your career, your rules.
Take control of your professional journey. Don't let societal expectations or flawed corporate structures dictate your path. Identify your peak performance zone and strive to remain there, continuously honing your skills and contributing at your highest level. This is the true path to career mastery and fulfillment. It's about being smart, not just ambitious.
So, what's your next move? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights are valuable.
And remember, the best career move is the one that truly serves you, not just the system. Until next time, stay strategic.
Yeah?
और पेन हैंग के बात ही कहेंगा और मैं कम है बात करते दाग के भाग बता भाई भान जाए बना है
Manila Gaulo.
ये बनवा पे बात बानी ही या इनकी का बात दें से बने हैं Selini Max go in by the Batasa. Voga, din da. Hiç dinleyiz.
यहाँ पे आप धोली ग्रामो सालन के त्रिनेकुन दा बेट कर गए दो ग्रीक दिस पर की दिस देखे देते हुए धई दीदा
That's right, that's it then. Read out that, then that, you that.